Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to talk about Jimmy Butler and this new information that Woj put out last night regarding the potential deal where the Houston Rockets might try to get Jimmy Butler. Now, what Woj said is that the Rockets are going to try to push Jimmy Butler to force the 76ers to do a sign and trade, which essentially means the 76ers would sign Jimmy Butler to a long-term deal, or whatever deal he wants, and then would trade him to the Rockets. Now, there's a whole lot of math involved here that I can't even do, or I can't even explain, regarding salary cap and all that stuff, how the deals would match. Basically, Woj just said it would come down to you need three teams to do this. It couldn't be just a straight Jimmy Butler for whoever on the Rockets. You would have to do basically a three-team deal, which is where it gets really tricky because then you're trying to recruit a third team to get involved in this. I don't really know how you would make it beneficial for a third team. But also, I just want to talk about why this is just such a bad move all around for every team involved. I just don't understand. Maybe this might actually benefit the 76ers, honestly, if this happened, but not anyone else really. So my issue is, first off, I really like Jimmy Butler. Let me say this: I like Jimmy Butler as a player. Honestly, for me, Jimmy Butler was the second best player on that 76ers team last year. I know he wasn't an all-star. I know his numbers dipped because he was playing, other guys. Ben Simmons was an all-star, even though he's not a high-volume scorer. Joel Embiid was certainly one of the superstar caliber players in the league. Certainly was the first option. And Tobias Harris, who basically is mostly a scoring option. From everything I've watched of him, he's not really impressive on defense. I don't love his passing. He's mostly, in my opinion, a scorer, which is why he's not really an all-star caliber player. He can rebound, he's a power forward, but in my mind, a limited player of sorts right now. So Jimmy Butler is my second favorite player from that team. Well, at least in my opinion, is the second best player from that team. All defensive caliber player. Made the team in the past, not this year. Kind of just a down year in general, really. But I really like him. I compared him to Paul. Obviously, Paul George had a great year this year and kind of moved himself up to that superstar caliber area where he was competing for an MVP award, basically. But going into last year, going into the start of this year, I thought Paul George and Jimmy Butler were kind of on similar levels. And if you look at the stats and their play, that really wasn't a stretch at the time. Now, of course, it is, but at the time, it wasn't a stretch. So Jimmy Butler is a really good player in my mind. I like him a lot. He'll get a max deal. He'll get all the money he wants from a team this summer. He shouldn't go through this. This really shouldn't happen. This is really a bad idea. First off, I don't even know why. Like I said, I don't know why the 76ers would do this unless they felt they were getting a really good piece back. And the pieces Woj said that the Rockets would likely have to send, at least two of these guys would be Eric Gordon, Clint Capella, and PJ Tucker. And if I'm the 76ers, I don't need Clint Capella because you've got Joel Embiid. And Clint Capella is basically mostly a defensive center and a pick-and-roll center. So you don't need Clint Capella. You might, Eric Gordon's not a bad piece to have, especially if you lose J.J. Redick in free agency. That kind of makes sense. PJ Tucker, I feel like they could just do better, really. PJ Tucker, I like PJ Tucker as well. I like the idea of him being an undersized player and playing the way he does. I like him. But I don't think you can go through this drama to get PJ Tucker. I just don't think it's worth it. The Rockets are doing, I think Jimmy Butler did show he can play alongside other star caliber players this year. Look at it. He played with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris, and he still did pretty good. Not as good as he has in the past, obviously, but he still did pretty good. I would have taken him, honestly, over, Ben Simmons for the All-Star game. I probably would have taken over Ben. Or even D'Angelo Russell, possibly. In terms of talent, I think he's better than D'Angelo Russell, but because you've watched Jimmy Butler just defensively, the way he moves, he's so quick. He sprints back. The other 76ers players don't really do that. I've watched him play games and on a fast break, he's the only guy sprinting back. Even Ben Simmons is going back, but he's not nearly as fast as Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's another level of speed in the NBA. And certainly way faster than guys like Joel. Just completely opinion, during the playoffs, and Tobias Harris was just not doing his job. And Jimmy Butler was honestly the most consistent player for the 76ers in the playoffs this year, with Joel Embiid hurt. He actually scored more points, well, not hurt, but like, what do you have, like a stomach bug at one time? He never seems to be 100%, but Jimmy Butler was around, actually scored more points in the postseason this year than Joel Embiid. Right there. But that's kind of a reason why the 76ers should want to keep him, sort of, instead of letting him go in the first place and trading him off. Of course, the other option is just let him walk in free agency, which might be honestly worth it if you can sign someone else instead and not have to worry about getting this trade set up with a third team. But and going back to the Rockets, the Rockets shouldn't really be doing this. I understand, a point I saw Mike Greenberg make earlier in Get Up was that for ESPN was that this Rockets team, their window is closed and they can't win a championship with this current team. And I totally agree with that because, in my opinion, they weren't the best team in the West, like they were in the past 2 years or so. They're not going to be that second best team anymore. I think Golden State might not be as favored as the Rockets even to win it, but I think the Lakers could jump them depending on what the Lakers do. I think if Kawhi goes to the Clippers, so I would take Kawhi over James Harden almost any day. Who else? There's talking about Kevin Love potentially going to the Trailblazers. I think Trailblazers would jump the Rockets in that situation. I think they might even already be ahead of the Rockets at this point. And then there's the Nuggets, who I think are actually probably a better team than the Rockets at this point as well. More complete team, at least. They have more depth. Their power is spread out a little bit more, in my opinion. So, Houston is sliding down kind of the power rankings in the West. And so I understand they're trying to shake things up by bringing in another star caliber player, especially a good defensive player who can guard guys. That's something you definitely need in the West right now. But, the personality clash of Jimmy Butler, Chris Paul, and James Harden, there's already issues between Chris Paul and James Harden. We've already heard reports that that's not sitting well. Now, how much of that is overblown and how much of that is accurate, it's hard to tell. But it makes a lot of sense. I watch the playoff games, and you see Chris Paul, he's just standing there, 6 feet past the three-point arc, just standing there. And it's not that he's, deactivated and not paying attention to the game. It's the fact that James Harden's going one-on-one with some other guy. And that's totally not what Chris Paul does. Chris Paul is the guy who manages the ball, who passes it to the open guys, who hits cutters for dunks and all this kind of stuff. Or does this ridiculous pass midair to hit some guy who's open for a three-point shot after collapsing the lane. That's Chris Paul's game. And that's just not what James Harden does. It's an isolation level game. And Jimmy Butler's a guy, played with stars this year and all that stuff. But at the same point, he's going to want his shots. So he's going to maybe favor Chris Paul's side a little bit more. He's more deep years, even though he hasn't made in all the defensive team the last 2 seasons. But he made 9 total. 2 defensive guys. James Harden's defense has improved. Seriously, it's improved a lot, but it's not. I don't even know if it's average still. It still might be a low average. He wants to be above average defensively, but he's not. So it becomes a situation where does Jimmy Butler pressure James Harden, or does Jimmy Butler want more isolation touches? Jimmy Butler wanted to be the guy to shoot the ball at the end of the games for Philadelphia. He should have been that guy. He was the most clutch player, most experienced player. He should have been the guy to take the last second shots for Philly. He won't be that for the Rockets. That would be James Harden, obviously. So, there might be a bit of a clash there in the alpha dog mentality kind of situation. And it stabilizes the locker room at all. I think it just shakes things up a little bit even more. Just because Butler's a guy who's a really a good ball handler. You want him to be a playmaker as well. Again, that infringes on what Chris Paul. It just kind of makes everything a lot more difficult. I don't know why the Rockets would want to bring in Jimmy Butler. And it's not knocking Butler. Again, I really like him. Any money, which I don't think they do anymore. But, I want Jimmy Butler on my team. It's just that I don't think the Rockets are a good fit. And again, the 76ers, I understand you might want to try to get something for Butler instead of just letting him walk. At the same point, that would take time to do that, especially to convince the third team to get involved with this kind of scenario. And again, if you're getting back anyone, you're probably getting back Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker. It's not a huge gain. It's a gain, but not something big. At the same point, would you rather try to go after a Danny Green or someone like that in free agency, someone you might like better? or just re-sign JJ Redick instead of taking on Eric Gordon. Like, it's just the whole situation where I feel like it's a very strange scenario. I'm not really on board. I'm not on board at all with this. He's gonna get his money. He's gonna get any money he wants. He'll get it. Uh, I don't like this idea. Again, I think the Rockets, they would go up in the power rankings if this did happen, just because it's what we do. It's what we place teams with more stars up and up higher. But we saw what happened when he went to Minnesota. Again, I don't want to compare Karl Anthony Towns, Chris Paul to. I don't want to compare Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins to Chris Paul and James Harden. That's just not accurate. But he went there with those guys and it didn't work out, and he demanded a trade. So I don't know. I just don't see Houston working out. I mean, again, it'd be really cool. I would watch the Rockets. Like, it'd be an interesting, fun thing to watch. I can't get on board. Something about me just says that is wrong. That will not work. There will be a clash there. I feel like Rockets do need to add new pieces because they need more scoring because Chris Paul's scoring is declining a little bit. You see he's getting injured more often. Well, he's always been injury prone, but suffering through injuries, was not really himself, not because of injuries, just didn't play well for the first couple of games of that series versus the Warriors this year. So the Rockets in my mind do need to bring in new pieces, and their championship window with this current roster has closed. I just don't believe Jimmy Butler is that guy.